Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Quant Tutor. Today we'll be continuing with question number 6 of the P1 Jan 2022 Edexcel paper. Alright, so let's look at the first question where they say find the value of the gradient at P. And the information that we have is the differentiated, we've been given the differentiated equation, right? You can see that because there's a slash there, that's like a dash there, right? And we know a point that lies on this curve C, right? And the equation of the curve is y is equals to fx. All right. So now we know that to find the gradient, let's say that you have fx, right? And fx is equals to something, right? And let's say that I'm going to draw a random curve. Okay. So let's say that this is how fx looks like. Now we know that once we actually find f dash x, what f dash x actually means is that it tells you the gradient at every point on this curve, right, for a given value of x. So now we already have that thing. We already have this equation f dash x, right? And all we need to do now is to find the value of the gradient at point P. And we know the x value at point P, which is 4, right? So now we are just going to easily input this information here. So now we know that fx, right, I'm going to rewrite this equation just so that we understand what's going on, right? And then now I'm just going to say that at 4, right, what's going to happen is we're going to do 4 plus 3 divided by 4 root 4. Yeah, and then this is basically going to be 7 squared, which is 49, divided by square root of 4 is 2, right? So 2 times 4 is 8. There you go. So that is our gradient at P. Okay. Now the next part, so this is for the first part. Yeah, this is for the first part. Now for the second part, what they're asking is find the equation of the tangent to C at P given your answer in the form of this. Okay, so they've given you the format how your answer should be. Now, what do you mean by a tangent? So let's say I'm going to draw a sample curve again, right? It's not necessarily this curve, I'm just going to draw a random curve. Now we know that, let's say that this is point P, right? So we want to find a tangent at this point. So we want to find a straight line that is tangent to this line. So what do we know about this straight line? This straight line will have the same gradient. The m of this gradient will be the same as the m at this point, at m at point P of the curve. You see? Because it's passing through this curve as well, right? And now we also know that the coordinates of P will also lie on this curve, right? So 4 and 2 are points that lie on both the curve C and the line here and the tangent here. Okay, so now given this information, what we know, what we are going to do is we are going to use this equation to find. Okay, so now you all know the equation to find a line. So y minus y1 is equals to mx minus x1. Okay, y1 is a y value that we already have. We know these points, and x1 is also a value that we already have. Right, so I'm just going to input that in. So y minus y1, we know it's 20, right? We know our m is 49 over 8, and we know that x is 4. Okay, now simple. Now we just do cross multiplication. We're going to take this 8 up here to multiply with this side. Okay, don't forget that you have to multiply 8 with both y and with minus 20, right? Because you are multiplying 8 with the whole side. Okay, so what you're going to get is it's going to be 8y minus 160 is equals to, and even in this case you have to multiply 49 with this and with this, okay, because it's in a bracket. So 49 is remaining here, so that is going to be 49x, right, minus 49 multiplied by 4 is basically minus 196. Okay, All right, now we're almost there. All we need to do is we need to rearrange this line so that x will be like basically everything should be on one side, right? And we know that x has to be positive because that's what we start with x, ax plus by plus c. So let's move everything to the right, right? So now our final equation is going to be 49x, right? Minus 8y, okay? And then we're going to have minus 196 plus 160, right? So the final answer will be 49x minus 8y minus 196 plus 160 will be minus 36 equals to 0. And this is our final answer. Okay, so you can notice here that you will notice here that this is equals to A, right? From here, this is equals to A, this is equals to B, and so minus 8 is equals to B, and minus 36 is equals to C. All right, so there we go for part A. Let's move on to part B. Okay, so part B says find fx, simplifying your answer. All right, so let's look at what we have. All right, we have the equation of f dash x already, right? And the equation of f dash x is basically, okay, let me go back and find it there. So x plus 3 squared divided by x root x. Yeah, just let me go there to make sure that is correct. Okay, so we have this already, and now we want to find fx. This means that this is a differentiated equation, right? And in order to reverse and go back to the original, we have to integrate, right? We have to integrate this equation. All right, so let's look at integrating this. So I'm going to integrate f dash x, which is essentially integrating x plus 3 square divided by x root x. Okay, so first, this equation looks very complicated to solve, to integrate right now, right? Because everything is like there's a square there, we don't know how to do integration on a square, so on and so forth. So what we are going to do is we're going to rewrite this equation in a simpler form, okay? We're going to expand everything first. So we're going to do x squared plus 6x, right? I'm just expanding this equation right here, plus 9 divided by x root x. Okay. So also another thing is I'm going to rewrite x root x as x multiplied by x half, right? Because you all know that root x is equals to x half. Okay. So I'm just going to replace that. Another thing that we also know is that when you multiply two variables with different indices, right? So like this, two variables with different powers, two same variables with different powers, those powers will add up. So this is x to the power of 1 multiplied by x to the power of half. This means that 1 will be x to the power of 1 plus 1 over 2. Okay, so that will basically be x squared plus 6x plus 9 divided by x 3 over 2. Okay, now that we have this, we are going to simplify further. We are going to separate all these values. So because this is a common denominator, so we can separate it out for all the above numerators. Okay, so we're going to do x squared divided by x 3 over 2 plus 6x divided by x 3 over 2 plus 9 divided by x 3 over 2. Okay, now again, we're going to perform the same calculation here, but the only difference here that we are going to do is we are going to subtract, because we are now going to divide the values. Earlier, we were multiplying those values, right? So we are going to do x divided by x3 over 2. So this is it's going to be 2 minus 3 over 2. Okay, so our answer here will be x. 2 minus 3 over 2 is basically uh, 1 over 2. right? So it's 1 over 2, and then plus 6. So 6 will remain, right? And then we're doing x to the power of 1 minus x to the power of 3 over 2, which is going to be minus half, right? And then finally, we're going to do 9. So there's nothing here. This is basically x to the power of 0. So x to the power of 0 minus x to the power of 3 over 2 is going to be x minus 3 over 2. There you go. Now we have a nice equation of fx, right? Where we can easily integrate on. Okay. I'm going to copy this equation and move on to the next page so that there's a bit more space for calculation. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go on, put this in the next page, and let's perform an integration here. Okay. All right. So let's look at, okay, now let's try to integrate this normally. So if you all know, so the integration here, I'm going to convert this to fx now, and I'm going to integrate this. So this is going to be x half plus 1 divided by half plus 1 plus 6x minus half plus 1 divided by minus half plus 1. And this one will be 9x minus 3 over 2 plus 1 divided by minus 3 over 2 plus 1. Right? So you can see that dividing this whole thing by whatever I have put here, because that's the rule of integration. Right? So this and this will be the same. Okay? Now let's write this in a clearer way. So this will be x 3 over 2 divided by 3 over 2 plus 6x half divided by half plus 9x minus half divided by minus half, right? And this will essentially be, let's write it a bit more consolidated. So I'm going to divide it. 1 divided by 3 over 2 will be 2 over 3x 3 over 2 plus, so 6 divided by half is going to be 12, right? So 12x half minus, okay? Now you notice that there's a minus value here. So this is going to be minus, and 9 divided by half is double of that, which is 18. So 18x minus half, okay? So now we have this equation. So now we have our final equation. But don't forget one very important thing that even I skipped here, which is plus c, right? Because we are integrating, so we always have to add a constant here. Now, although we have our equation, we don't have our final equation yet because we still haven't found the value of c, right? Now, we have been given the information. We know, right, that the p-value is 4 and 2, right? We know at 4 and 20, right? So we know this part. So we know the x and the y value of this curve. So all we need to do now is we need to input these values in here to be able to find our c, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to input our 20 is our y, right? And our 4 is our x, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to say fx will be equals to 20 is equals to, I'm going to put 4 everywhere now, right? I'm going to put 4 into this equation. So it'll be 2 over 3, 4 divided by 3 over 2 plus 12, 4 to the power of half minus 18, 4 to the power of negative half plus c, okay? Now you can all use a calculator, put in the value of each of these things, move it this side, and you will get your c as, and you will get your c is equals to minus 1 over 3. Okay, now let me make all this smaller so that there's more space for me to write the final equation. A little bit smaller. Okay, so let me put it up a little bit actually so that I can write the final equation here. So now that we know the value of c, so our final answer fx is going to be, we write the same equation, right, that we had before. So 2 over 3 x3 over 2 plus 12x to the power of half minus 18x to the power of minus half minus 1 over 3. And there we go. We have our final answer, and that takes us to the end of this question. So if you were confused about anything or if you had any questions, feel free to add it in the comment section. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.